as we can see, Janik's able to go for stuff like Britons. So let's see how this goes. Interested to see Janik play. He's been absolutely killing it in Master of Islands. He's also a great team game player. Right at the heart of that CZ team that does so well in RTSL, and I expect will do well in the upcoming, well, not upcoming, the ongoing or the recently started Clan Masters. But I haven't seen a lot of him in 1v1 and kind of more Arabia settings like this. These kinds of maps that are in Call to Arms. Many of them are kind of Arabia maps with some differences in there. So I'm interested to see how he does in this setting. But yeah, he's definitely a good player, and with the civilization advantage here, perhaps he can take down the mighty BacT. Because it has to be said that BacT has looked truly awesome against Fiege and Tato. As I said, I think he's 6-0 at this point across those two matchups. And, you know, he's just looked a step ahead in terms of macro and overall skills. Let me just quickly look around for bugs on this map, because that is something that I'm responsible for checking. Yeah, I see 2 boars, 3 golds for Janik on the map. Boar. Okay, I'm satisfied. Checking out the maps then. BacT with a lot of forward gold. This one's quite far away up on that hill. That main gold is forward, a little bit of elevation in front of it. And then this third gold way far forward. Janik has this kind of the same thing, his main gold here, but kind of exposed, but at least the hill's behind it. His third goal is way over here, but at least got second gold in the back. Berries are in a little bit of a weird spot. And this is obviously 3-player map, as we saw. It's called Shallow Web. There are a whole bunch of these web maps which have made it into even the map packs for SY map pack and stuff like that. There's wet web, wooden web. They're all based on this idea of a disc with something at the wateriness at the edge, basically. But this is Shallow Web, where you can go all the way around the outside. And the thing about this is that you can't completely wall off to the edge of the map, which means that enemy raiding can walk round and hit you. So it does make it a map where, especially if you've got a wood line like BacT and where a lot of your base is really far towards the back, you then have the vulnerability on the sides. And also these little ponds as well, these little shallows ponds stop you from completely walling everything off unless you're going to like wall all the way around behind them. So this map is basically designed to promote a little bit more open play, and although it's quite expansive because of the shallows at the edges of the map, it does force the players a bit closer together, so the rush distance is more like a 2-player map anyway. So looking at civilizations, BacT has gone for a really strong civ here, a strong kind of third tier, I'd say, Arabia civ. Persians are one of the choices we've seen in more open land maps when players haven't had the obvious like Britons, Celts, Mongols that we saw so much of in the Arabia Invitational. And it's understandable, they're strong and versatile. And +2 knight attack against archers be quite nice against Janik's Britons as well, because BacT will probably be going down the knight's approach here. Against the Britons as Persians, you don't necessarily really want to be getting in too much of a crossbow war, because you can't make much of that in the Imperial Age when the Britons' archers are just so much better than the Persians' archery line. And even if you go crossbows in the Castle Ages Persians, which is perfectly viable, you will definitely want to be transitioning away from those in the Imperial Age. So Janik is going to lay down a barracks really close, actually. I guess looking at his map, if he's able to keep this back area of his base nice and safe, then he's got a lot of resources here to be making use of, all in one place that can make it either easily defensible or can cause you to be GG'd in moments if you lose that area completely. It's kind of pros and cons of that. So the thing with drushing BacT on this map is that everything for BacT is kind of towards the back, so it's going to be hard to get there quickly and to do damage early on. Although at least BacT is going to have a harder time kind of completely funneling everything towards his TC with palisades, so the drush may be able to make it through round here, unless BacT just builds a wall like this, because he can't go across the shallows, obviously. But that said, Janik did click up to the feudal age, so he's gonna go with the man-at-arms approach, create militia on the way. The feudal age difference between the two players is just 1 second. BacT's laying down barracks and splitting lumber camps now, so one here, pushing in deer, and he looks good to go for scouts to me. I expect that's what we'll be seeing from him. But we'll have to wait and see if there's anything different. No, it's not. Oh, Dave, it's not defendable. Defensible can describe a physical location as well as an intellectual position or a logical point. It works in both ways. There was actually that debate actually happened on YouTube as well. Somebody was insistent that it wasn't, but if you look it up, it'll tell you. So 2 militia for Janik with the 3rd following on just behind. They're going to hit BacT's lumber camp. This kind of exposed one more towards the front, although the distance to retreat to the TC isn't too far, and BacT will see it coming around the edge of his buildings. So let's see how quickly he reacts. Yeah, really fast on point reactions here. Palisades coming out. Just need to fill in 1, 2 more. No, the scout's in. Maybe the scout can keep that open for the militia. Man-at-arms upgrade about to kick in. This could do some damage. Obviously we're idling a couple of villagers here. Janik kind of unfortunate not to get a Vil there. He perhaps could have trapped them. But the Vils managed to squirm away from the clutches. Spearman comes out for BacT in defence, but with Janik most likely going archer range out off the back of his man-at-arms, that's going to function as a very kind of weak unit in defence here, because it's not countering any scouts that are coming out for Janik, and 4th man-at-arms as well. That's going to be tough for BacT to deal with going that scouts approach. The man-at-arms really do a lot of damage against those scouts. And 1 village has been left at the front here as well, which is going to do very well to escape back to the TC. A little bit of blocking coming in from the scout, presumably, and a couple of hits from man-at-arms, and that villager will go down. No, Janik, you've got to finish that off. He's gonna... Oh. Doesn't want to risk the scout to try and pick that 1 Vil, but it looked like he could have got it. And now the scout's going to go down to the spear anyway. He'd have been so much better off picking that scout. Sorry, that villager with the scout. BacT's now completed a wall off towards the left-hand side, completely shielding this area of his base, because unfortunately for Janik, there isn't any kind of hole here, and he's going to have to go the long way round, but at least, you know, BacT can't wall all of this off. So, needs to be careful there. We did see BacT scouts run off towards the front, but they have returned to try and pick up the man-at-arms for Janik, although I don't know whether they saw them then or not. Unfortunately, it wasn't on BacT's point of view to see, but yeah, he's going to meet them as they come around from this side. But 4 men-at-arms versus 4 scouts, the men-at-arms will be the ones that come out victorious there. But Vils could get involved too. Let's see if BacT avoids losing any Vils here. That 1 female villager taking a lot of hits straight away. Yeah, man-at-arms being dealt with pretty well there by BacT. He's kept the weak villager alive, but at least he's managed to really do a lot of damage to that initial scout army that BacT built. Let's have a look how Janik's looking at home. 4 or 5 archers and a spearman heading out, with a couple more popping out of the ranges. Economy's looking pretty good to continue adding in some archers. Could do with a few more Vils and gold, I guess, but he'll add those in due course. Resources, yeah, quite low. Making sure he makes use of those resources as they come in. But the gold is hurting to continue production from 2 ranges if that's what he wants to do. 4 villagers, barely enough. And Janik, with 1 spear protecting those archers, will try and head round the left. It looks like he really wants to make use of this feature of the map that you can't wall off your wood. BacT can't wall off his wood line. Fortunately for Janik, he's kind of a bit more inland, and he can kind of wall more towards where he's would have been taking wood from if he'd used the back forest, but for the moment he's just one lumber camp, one massive wood gathering operation on the left hand side. He's split his army, he's kept basically an army of archers protected one by one spearman at home. Fletching isn't done just yet, but we did hear a blacksmith come up, which is starting to complete this wall off on that side, and we'll look here, return to this location as the archers come in. This will be cluing in BacT that he's about to get raided here, but does he react? Yeah, he does. Villagers peel away from the wood line quickly, but that's good interruption on the wood line for Janik. Skirms are out in defence for BacT though, so this army really does just go down so easily to 5 skirms, and Janik needs to respond and get out of there quickly. One archer within an inch of death, but it looks like he'll peel his units away and make sure they all survive. One scout going down for BacT over here, but those are the full HP ones. That's probably the half dead one. Those 2 scouts really not going to do any damage at home to BacT. Sorry, to Janik. And he's looking good. 4 villagers ahead. A little bit of idle thus far for BacT, possibly, unless one of the players has wheelbarrow and one doesn't. Forward tower on the gold for BacT, because that is quite exposed, as we saw all of his golds at the start of the game. Not in the best spots for him. And I'd say Janik's got a good grasp on this game early on. Needs to be careful he doesn't use these units here as he blunders into skirmishes from 3 directions plus the tower. It's not picking vills with this attack on the front here though, and he's losing a lot of units there, but and that will kind of send BacT into a bit of a score lead. But still 3 villagers ahead for Janik, and he's starting to look good for resources. 500 food, 100 gold. BacT though is about to click up, so looking like BacT will have a castle age timer that's earlier by about 1 minute, as Janik does wheelbarrow and will probably click up afterwards. Going to use this moment to check if BacT did wheelbarrow. Yeah, he did. So really good economy for him actually, and when he hits the castle age with Persians, he'll really be motoring with that TC work rate kicking up a notch. Almost certainly he'll be looking at 2 stables in the castle age, going knights production and trying to take advantage of that bonus they'll have against the Britons' crossbows. But Janik's base is kind of defensible. He's starting to wall off along the right. I'd like to see him finish that off and then maybe just shield this a bit as well, and then he can probably camp army on the hill on the left hand side and defend this base quite nicely. Much larger group of archers going out in search of prey, probably paying a visit to this wood line of BacT, which I think would have been a good area for Janik to have returned to. We saw him go here first with those men at arms, the drush into the men at arms, but he hasn't been back there since, and that seems like a vulnerability on BacT map that he could have revisited. A lot of skirmishers came forward. Looks like I picked off a spearman or something, but Janik will have to move away from where that stone is. In fact, where is this? Okay, this is his main stone. Kind of odd that he went all the way out there to build to get stone. He needs to be careful here. He's blundering into a lot of skirmishes, but reactions are on point. That's good for him. As BacT hits the castle age, Janik is 40% of the way there. But yeah, I'm just going to switch to Janik's point of view. Did he see his main stone? Yeah, he did. I am surprised he's gone all the way over there, but I guess he wants to build up over here in general. His main gold's there. All of his wood gathering operations behind that area. Probably wants to just focus on expanding to the left. BacT is really trying to engineer a trap here, I think, with the 2 scouts plus the skirmishers. But Janik's not going to fall into that trap by the looks of it, as he moves those archers right around the east side of the map. He's not affording... Okay, sorry, I was about to say he's not affording crossbow just yet, but he hasn't hit the castle age. He will do in just a moment, but what he'll try and do is hide those crossbows away from away from BacT's site, get the crossbow and bodkin upgrade, and then try and hit BacT from a direction that he's not prepared for. But BacT is circling around everywhere. His knights are in search of Janik's archers, and this could be pretty disastrous for Janik actually if those knights converge on the archers before crossbow kicks in. But with a small line of sight, they have run to the edge at just the wrong time, concluding Janik's out here, and they're going. So that is fortunate for Janik, and depending on if the skirmishers patrol back up there, the archers might just creep on by. Let's go to BacT's point of view. and see if he sees these crossbows going. This is so tight. Something to keep an eye on though is that BacT is looking to hit an attack. The 2 scouts going in the back, they won't do much there. The tower's there, University coming up, but BacT's knights aren't attacking just yet. Let's go back down here. The skirmishers are on the shallows looking for Janik's army. Still not going to find it, and if they continue to loop back around to the north and to the east, Janik could get in there. However, outposts everywhere for BacT. He's not going to fall prey to that vulnerability of the shallows in the back, but picking a mangonel in the front, he can't fight those knights on the hill though. There barely any crossbows, +1 armor done for the knights and a tower firing upon them, and that is a lot of crossbows mopped up quickly. Has Janik seen these crossbows appearing in the back of his base? Yes, he has. Of course he has. But 6 Persian knights with the bonus that they get against the archers, +1 done, and skirmishers converging. This could be a lot of army going down for Janik here. BacT will sustain the loss of a couple of knights, that's for sure, but a lot of Janik's crossbows will go down, especially now that the skirmishers have caught up. Right, let's take that fog off. Now that the kind of line of sight crucial situation that we had at the back of the base has played out. BacT's still trying to get a villager with this couple of scouts in the back of Janik's base, but that villager will survive. TC has come up on the front. 3 archer rangers, University down. Didn't see if Janik did ballistics just yet, but we'll hold off on checking the tech tree to see if this fight plays out. BacT will probably try and lure Janik forward to hit the to run into the mangonel on the hill. Don't forget those Britain's archers now with 8 range, so it's much easier to micro against the mangonel. 1 monk coming out in defence for Janik. Try and get a knight conversion, but it was far too close to the units it was attempting to convert, and monk goes down with no reward. Still, I think with the hill to retreat to, the range of the Britain's crossbows, and possibly ballistics as... Oh no, here we go, here's ballistics coming in. That will make it even easier for Janik to micro against all of this, but that's a lot of knights now. That monk needs to get a conversion, and those Vils need to jump in, a TC in the tower to take this fight for Janik. Good positioning though, right between the gold and the mining camp. That's a good fight for Janik there. A lot of damage to BacT knights. Conversion getting in there. Let's look at how damaged all of those are. Does BacT have a monk at home or a monastery coming up to heal those? Yeah, he does. Good thinking by him. Siege coming forward as well though. Scorpions will go down pretty easily to those Britain's crossbows from range, but it kind of makes it harder to micro against a Scorpion and a Mangonel as Janik kind of blunders into that. The hill bonus kicks in, and Janik doing really well to avoid a second shot there, otherwise it would have done stun. Huge damage to that grouped up formation of crossbows that had already sustained the splash damage from 1 Mangonel hit from uphill. 3 TCs though for Janik, and he's staying ahead by 5 villagers even after being later to the castle age. BacT, how many TCs are you on, sir? Just the 1 by the looks of it. Another one coming up on this forward gold here. Not accessing this one on the right just yet. So Janik in position to race in front of BacT in terms of economy here, as BacT clicks for husbandry to make his knights move faster. Unfortunately for Janik, he's missed horse collar up to this point. It's a bit of a bad miss to only be getting that at minute 31. But at least for him, he's not making a heavy food army. Wow, look at that. We had timing by Janik there. I thought those knights were already on that tile and through the gap, but Stonewall comes up, even fixes this, so knights will loop around to the back. Will Janik respond by sheltering off this area with some building foundations as well? Where is he going with that villager? I want to keep an eye on the other areas of the map as BacT raids here and Janik moves in on the front. Action all over the place here. Janik's got to just retreat from here. He's got to keep on running, but the knights will hit him as well as he tries to back out of the range of the skirmishers. And meanwhile, those knights go into the back of Janik's woodline. And there's a lot of Vils here and no army to be seen. Does Janik have any monks around? Yeah, 1 monk, some crossbows and a knight over here, but Vils can be slaughtered here as a lot of Janik's army in the front goes down as well. At least he's killed all the knights. That's a a good payoff for him, but a lot of crossbows going down there. Such an action-packed game here. BacT's doing a great job of hitting or engaging Janik in 3 places, in the back of Janik's base, in the front, and then defending effectively at home as all of those crossbows go down. BacT is playing so well. Monks coming out in defense for Janik. Should get a couple of conversions and clean this up now, but that has turned the villager difference a long way into BacT's favour now. 8 villagers, whereas Janik was a few ahead before all of that fighting kicked off. So very nice couple of minutes for BacT. Now moving on the front here, some skirms and the knights are going to be able to run in, start killing off crossbows, because the crossbows just kind of have to retreat from the skirms as well, because they can't stand around and shoot against the knights and get shot by the skirms. It's a really good combination for actually chasing down crossbows, even though they're just feudal age skirms. They make it harder for the crossbows to just keep kiting against the knights. And it's looking a bit messy here, but 5 villagers difference. Janik can certainly restore the difference in economy here by just keeping those TCs coming, but BacT's back on the front here. Mangonel applying pressure to the forward TC, and Knights on the stone constantly. Fantastic pressure by him. We're sitting on Janik's point of view, just looking at his resources, 500 food, 200 gold. Let's see how BacT's doing. He's right on the edge with food, of course, going full castle pressure for the moment. But the cost of adding in all these knights obviously means he's not banking to go Imperial Age anytime soon. Focusing on the castle age aggression, knights and siege, monks, great combo. And I think Persians was just such a great pick because of the expectation that Janik would go Britons. Yeah. It's a really threatening number of knights that BacT has on the front, backed up by the Mangonel. At least Janik's getting out a Mangonel of his own. Maybe he'll be able to trade 1 for 0 in the dodgeball game. But the Mangonel's not going to prove too helpful against the knights. We see a big villager difference opening up now though, 92 to 77. Those Persian TCs really helping BacT to slingshot through the castle age. Just seeing where he's got extra TCs. There we go. Return to the fight on the front. Mangonel being repaired. But Janik just doesn't have enough crossbows there to deal with this many knights. +2 and bloodlines done. Forging as well. 1, 2 conversions can be made by 2 monks in the back, but Janik's really struggling to hold this. Most of his crossbows going down. How many made it into the TC? Let's look. All villagers inside the TC. So Janik basically losing all of his crossbows at this point, and yeah, 2 military, and he's going to tap out of the game. I hope BacT is mistakenly typed just with the 1G there, but very well played by him. He's absolutely suffocated Janik with knights. Just great play. And kind of pulled back an early game disadvantage a little bit, I think. Players have gone into the game room. I don't know what the home maps are, so we'll have to wait and see.